There are episodes of Sister Wives that are dramatic, and then there's episode 9, part 2, where Kody Brown somehow manages to look like the victim, the hero, and the problem, all in the same hour. On paper, this is an episode about land, signatures, and paperwork. In fact, it's about something much darker, a man who insists he never failed his family. A father who says he reached out to his kids while doing almost nothing to repair real damage. And ex-wives who are finally done pretending any of this is normal. We watch Meri and Janelle sit in their cars, waiting awkwardly on Coyote Pass. We follow Janelle as she tries to start a new life in North Carolina. We see Kody melt down about his kids, but somehow still blame everyone but himself. And through all this, one thing becomes painfully clear. Kody Brown is terrified of taking real responsibility. Whenever someone speaks like a martyr but acts like a ghost, you are not looking at a leader, you are looking at an escape artist. Before we break down the episode, I want to hear from you. Comment below now. Are you team, the wives finally woke up, or team, Kody will fix it one day? I'll be reading as many as I can. Alright, now, let's go through episode 9, part 2, section by section. We open with tension thick enough to cut with a knife. It's not a normal family meetup. It's like a standoff. Meri and Janelle are literally sitting in their cars, engines off, eyes watching, hearts guarded. They're not just early, they're waiting. And not just for Kody. They're waiting to see which side is to be turned. Kianaya curveball ane wala hai? Ar aj ka family decision kis ka favor main lika jachuka hai? Because nothing is ever just business in this family. Every paper, every signature, every pause in conversation comes with emotional history. When Kody and Robyn finally arrive, on surface, everything sounds simple. Sign the papers. Complete Coyote Pass. Everybody goes away with his agreed share. Yeah, wo version hai jo Kody camera kosuna raha hai. Lakin ground per jo feel a rahi hai wo kuch or hai. From the very beginning, this doesn't feel like a clean, straightforward family transaction. It feels like a setup. Janelle is being told that if the deal doesn't move forward, they'll lose the buyer. Time is running out. Pressure mount. Suddenly, time becomes a weapon. Meri, on the other hand, is dealing with a different kind of pressure. She's being made to understand that if she signs, she only gets 2 acres on paper. Sochniki bat yahai. Years and years talk an hannayak family unity kadream besha. We're all equal. We'll share the land. We are all legacy. Aurabyab fina legal documents samne aya. To equality surf words nickel. Fine print mein kuch ar lika high. Whenever the story is so confusing that only one person understands it, that person usually benefits the most. And in this story, that one person has virtually always been Kody. Janelle is hearing another version. We have to expedite it. Otherwise, we lose the buyer. Meri is hearing another. You're getting less than you thought, but just sign. We'll fix it. Trust the process. The common theme? Confusion, urgency, and Kody standing in the middle, like the only translator of this messy truth. Meri decides she is not signing. And honestly, could you blame her? She had trusted verbal promises for years. Equal land, equal share, fair treatment. Yet, now, the paper facing her is different from those memories in her head. And paper is what the court listens to, not old conversations in living rooms and driveways. If the written deal doesn't match the spoken promises, the real truth is always on the paper. Meanwhile, Kody casually lets slip a line far more revelatory than he realizes. He says that Janelle has always been his financial advisor. It's praise on the face of it. Like, he's saying, Janelle is smart. Janelle understands money. But beneath that, it actually means Janelle did the math. Janelle tracked the budgets. Janelle made sense of it all. And Kody enjoyed the power that came from being the one who ultimately signed, approved, or blocked decisions. Janelle did the homework. Kody kept the control. You can feel the old pattern walking into the room with them. Different tales for different wives. Confusing language about acres, percentages, and timelines. Pressure to just sign now and argue later, when later usually never comes. That does not look like miscommunication. It would appear that it is a system that has been in Kody's benefit for a very long period. And Robyn? She's present, yet distant. No warmth, no effort to soften the atmosphere. Just a quiet, tense participation, as if she's there to secure the land, not to heal old wounds. On paper, everything looks closer to fair by the end of the scene. Everyone gets their 25%. The numbers seem balanced. Lekin emotional hizab bilkul balance nahi hai. Because now, Meri has, with her own eyes, seen what her place actually is on a contract. Janelle has felt again how urgently and fearfully pressure for her decisions has been used, and both of them have watched Kody and Robyn operate like a separate unit, not like part of the same family. On the surface, the boxes are ticked, land is fragmented, definition of shares, but underneath, when money, land, and power come on the table, you finally see who was family and who was just management. That land meeting wasn't just about Coyote Pass. It was a live demonstration of why this family fell apart in the first place. The wives didn't only lose faith in Kody's leadership, they lost all faith in his version of reality. And once that breaks, no contract in the world can fix that. After the suffocating tension of Coyote Pass, the show gives us a breath of fresh air literally and emotionally by shifting to North Carolina, where Janelle is visiting Maddie. The contrast is stark and immediate. Flagstaff is heavy. North Carolina feels light. Flagstaff is like walking on eggshells. North Carolina is like warm grass beneath bare feet. For the first time in a long time, we see Janelle in a space where she is not bracing herself for someone else's reactions, not managing tension, not shrinking to make others comfortable. Instead, she exudes that rather rare thing for a brown wife piece. We see a simple, heartwarming moment. Maddie's kids playing restaurant, taking pretend drink orders with giggles and chaos. Maddie chimes in, teasing, "A water with no ice, and bring me a whole lemon I can slice myself." At first, it is just cute. The joke is instantly recognizable to longtime viewers. This is a playful nod to Kody's quirky restaurant habits, the infamous lemons, the fussiness, the theatrics. And what makes this moment so meaningful is not the joke itself, but the spirit behind it. It's not bitterness. It's not mockery. It's the type of humor that comes from a family who survived something painful and is finally ready to laugh around it. Tiny jokes are sometimes tiny scars, healed enough to laugh at, but still a reminder of what happened. Then humor becomes a kind of gentle therapy, a way to release tension without having to relive the trauma. A surprising detail comes up. Janelle says he actually tips well. This shocks her not because it makes him generous in her eyes, but because it contradicts everything she's watched him refuse to invest in emotion. Tipping is easy. Throwing a couple of extra dollars at a server costs nothing. But being there with your children, showing up consistently, repairing relationships you broke, those things require emotional courage and humility, two currencies Kody rarely spends. Water, lemons, and a tip are easy. Consistency and emotional effort, those are where the real cost kicks in. Janelle recounts the land meeting to Maddie, and suddenly the episode shifts back into emotional truth. She describes how painfully awkward it had been, how Robyn wouldn't make eye contact, how neither Robyn nor Kody was able even to greet them, and how both went their separate ways without a simple adieu. These aren't minor social gaffes. These are emotional statements. When people who once called you family can't even nod, wave, or say hi, that means they've already checked out emotionally. And instantly, Maddie catches on. She tells her mother, if a person can't look you in the eye, or greet you, or say goodbye, that's not being shy at all. That's not discomfort. That's a choice. People who can't manage basic kindness usually made a much bigger decision long before they walked into the room. This line hits like truth wrapped in velvet. Because kindness doesn't demand effort, kindness doesn't demand loyalty, kindness doesn't require agreement. Kindness only needs decency. And when decency goes missing, it tells you everything you need to know about a relationship's true health. Something powerful happens in this moment, and you can see it in Janelle's posture, her voice, her newfound clarity. For the first time in decades, she allows herself to see what's always been there. She doesn't owe Kody and Robyn emotional access anymore. She doesn't have to keep showing up for people big or small who refuse to show up for her. She doesn't have to decode moods or anticipate reactions or manage chaos. Kody spent years telling the wives that they were confusing, overreacting, misunderstanding, or not trusting the process. But Janelle finally sees the truth. The confusion wasn't an accident. It was structural. It was part of the system, and she is finally stepping out of it. It goes without saying that this portion elucidates. North Carolina represents more than a temporary visit. It represents freedom. It symbolizes clarity. It represents a life where Janelle's peace isn't dependent on Kody's approval, attention, or unpredictable emotional weather. In North Carolina, she laughs freely. She talks openly. She breathes fully. Because for the first time in a long time, she's living a reality where she isn't orbiting around Kody's mood. She is simply herself, not a polygamist wife, not a mediator, not a problem solver, not the steady one holding the family glue, just Janelle. North Carolina isn't about distance from the family, it's about distance from the pain. And that's why this session matters so much. It's not just a reset. It's the beginning of a woman reclaiming herself, one lemon-filled joke at a time. If Session 2 showed us Janelle breathing again, Session 3 shows us Janelle living again. The camera shifts to New Orleans, and for the first time in years, we see Janelle not as a wife trying to manage chaos, or a mother absorbing stress, or a woman constantly negotiating emotional landmines, but as a regular human being. She's with her friends Christina, Angela, and one more friend walking the bright, lively streets, sharing food that's weird, wonderful, and sometimes disgusting. They laugh loudly. They tease her. She teases them back. And in these simple moments, dipping into plates of fried insects, joking about visors and dating again, we see something radical. Janelle, without the weight of Kody Brown's ego crushing her shoulder. No guilt trips, no emotional pressure, no subtle manipulations. No, you should do this, or you owe me that. Just freedom. Around a small table in New Orleans, Janelle starts reflecting on her past, and her reflections reveal the truth about her marriage more clearly than any argument ever could. She talks about the constant moving 20 times, maybe more, not because Kody had a new job. The family needed safety. They were chasing opportunity, but simply because Kody couldn't sit still. Because his restlessness became everyone else's lifestyle. Imagine being a wife and mother and uprooting your entire world every few years just to keep pace with a man who didn't even realize the emotional cost he was dumping on everyone else. That's not adventure. That's instability disguised as leadership. And for the first time, Janelle says it out loud. Then Janelle shares something deeply revealing. When Kody turned 50, everything changed. Not physically, not financially, psychologically. He began to talk like the family was holding him back. He began painting himself as the man who carried the whole burden, the one aging faster due to responsibility, the victim of the very family he created. It's the classic tale of a guy wanting the benefits of family structure without the emotional investment which requires structure. Real grown men don't call their family a burden. They call them their reason. Janelle compares him softly but surely to Caleb and Mitch, her sons-in-law. These are men who work hard, raise children, face real responsibilities, and never once say, "I'm tired of carrying everyone." They don't view family as burden. They view family as their purpose. And that comparison isn't meant to shame Kody. It is supposed to denote the truth. Where other men stepped up, Kody stepped away. Where other men matured, Kody retreated. Where other men grew emotionally, Kody grew resentful. Then we cut to Kody in his interview. And in classic Kody fashion, he looks straight into the camera with full chest confidence and claims he never shirked responsibilities. He was ever present. He gave 110% every time. These aren't just lies. These are absolutes. And whenever Kody speaks in absolutes, it's almost like watching a magician perform a trick. The larger the absolute, the bigger the illusion. If you've watched the show for years, you know, we have seen him absent. We have seen him disengaged. We've watched as he showed up physically but was emotionally absent. We have witnessed him reprimand his kids when he's supposed to comfort them. We have seen Christine alone in crisis while he was busy. Every viewer has watched Kody prioritize connection, control image over intimacy, authority over empathy. So when he sits there, chin high, and proclaims he was always there, it doesn't just feel false. It feels like he's trying to convince himself just as much as us. When someone talks in absolutes about their own goodness, they're usually trying to convince themselves as much as everyone else. Janelle's version is calm and informed. She's not mean-spirited. She isn't exaggerating. She is not trying to paint a picture of her heroism. She's just telling the truth. And Kody's rendition? It sounds theatrical, defensive, embellished, almost scripted. The juxtaposition is striking. Janelle keeps both feet on the ground. Kody is grounded in ego. Janelle recalls the price. Nervlust zit er he's a gipan. Separatharini and Miss Willoughby. Worth care was its Willoughby being it must leave her. And the worth of this. Massive. I think I was your either. And it cost. So living it costs. And the shoeless living it costs. And the leaves it having it costs. Worth swim meal scarvent. And the fast as if he sailed. And was there from Maxi to his niddy hours as far to us by the vanicus. Veller as ich sing arch 7 up. Here, which surfer bashed its skin man. Flasser open ik auf sich. Nein, maar veel wil ik op zich aan zitten. En als durft niet willen we we seelen af het sterke. Sterker we hier maar veel weer afval beter is dat iets in our val. Snerf. Those mag niet lief smaakt mas. Ster we af de mag ze wat is niet lief. Het zo is ik. Dus bij in de snemo mo verwacht to me van of. Deine sa je gewoon. En de schiet nerf nog gewoon. En je you en zo. Kera maar is in de chassis. Heel of niet. Mag je bil mij van haar met de spaliger jacht niet. Snerf is dan in het. Ader slide up your vetless net. Skeffer, so it's sneedoch, and the corpse of the slanish. Harold gets remember readoch.
Kody is not seeking therapy to understand his impact. He's seeking therapy to soothe his ego. He mentions this idea almost casually, 5 years after his relationships with the older kids started falling apart. Not 5 weeks, not 5 months, 5 years. 5 years of silence, 5 years of tension, 5 years of lost birthday, lost milestone, lost opportunity, and only now that the cameras, the fans, the wives, and the world have called him out, does he question if therapy might help. This isn't insight, it's damage control. When one feels genuinely sorry, the utterances would take the form, I need to know what went wrong. I want to fix what I broke. I want to be better for them. But Kody says nothing about it. Instead, he dwells on his anger, on being misunderstood, on how kids believe things that aren't, on how unfair it feels that he's blamed for the outcomes that his own actions created. If your main problem with someone is what they believe about you, you're still more worried about your image than your impact. It is the contradiction in Kody's words that truly makes the scene almost surreal. He says he wants to move away from blame. Then he says in the same breath that he wishes everyone would stop blaming him. That's not accountability. That's a man asking the world to make believe it never happened. It's emotional convenience masquerading as emotional maturity. Kody jumps back into his favorite phrase, the one he's used for years to justify distance, silence, and avoidance. He needs space to communicate. He wants to invite the kids into a space where they can talk. He says it with the seriousness of a poet, as if the problem is a missing metaphor rather than years of neglect. But communication doesn't require space. It takes work. And effort is the one thing he consistently refuses. Kody proudly insists he has reached out to all his children multiple times. But here is what reaching out looks like to him. Singular text, hey, how's it going? No closure, no apology, no proprieto, no follow-through. This isn't reconciliation, it's checkbox parenting. And when those tiny gestures don't magically fix years of pain, Kody makes the same conclusion every time. It's their fault. They're not responding. A text is contact. An apology is repair. Kody keeps mixing them up. Then comes Robyn, calm voice, soft expression, vague phrases that sound comforting but say nothing. She talks about influence, malenten, hurt feelings, confusion. Everything is phrased like a cloud shapeless, undefined, floating. And her body really tells it all. She looks uneasy. She is not straightforward. She curls her hair fits and looks down. For deep down inside, she knows the truth. She and Kody have not done the work. If the repair of relationships had really been a priority, we would have seen telephone calls, visits, letters, repeated efforts, showing up in person, being vulnerable, apologizing. What do we find instead? Excuses, blame, vague language, emotional avoidance masquerading as emotional sensitivity. Robyn's go-to line, I just feel like. The more someone says, I just feel like, without naming actions, the more they're defending a story, not describing reality. While Kody and Robyn try to talk their way into innocence, the real pain is happening elsewhere. The wives are rebuilding their lives. The kids are carrying some bruises they didn't ask for. The family is fractured, not by happenstance, but by a series of choices. None of those are people sitting in front of cameras, spinning soft narratives. They're just coping with the aftermath. Kody wants words of therapy, not work of therapy. Robyn wants sympathy language, not reconciliation action. And together, they form a partnership built on emotional vocabulary, but not emotional responsibility. It's not that they couldn't fix these relations, it's that they won't. Because true repair requires humility, something neither of them has shown in years. The episode closes with two very different kinds of scenes. On one hand, we have Janelle with her friends, laughing about visors, joking about what kind of man she'll date next, and talking about the future. Christina, her friend, not Kody Brown, jokes that the next man in Janelle's life can't wear a golf visor like Kody. It's ironic, but it's also symbolic. She doesn't want another man, just different. She wants a different pattern. She then shares something big. She believes that in order to really cut the tie with Kody, she needs a spiritual, a formal way of ending the religious bond which once held them together. He was the man 3 wives walked away from intentionally. Then we cut back to Flagstaff, and the tone changes completely. Robyn, true to form, begins, "So much has been dumped on Kody, 3 divorces, broken relationship. All this pain, poor man, like it all fell from the sky, and he was just standing there, minding his own business. Calling consequences bad luck is how people avoid admitting this is what I called." Kody gets choked up talking about his dad, how they never really reconciled before his father passed. He doesn't want that to happen with his own kid. He mentions having a beer with Garrison the last time they were together, as if that one moment somehow counterbalanced how strained and painful that relationship become. But here's the hard truth the episode shows us without saying. If you know what regret feels like, if you know what it did to you to lose your father with no resolution, and you still don't sprint toward your children with apologies and effort, then the problem isn't ignorance, it's pride. Regret is supposed to wake you up, not become another story you tell while you keep making the same mistake. We finally hear Kody admit that he has said mean things about the kids' mothers and that it probably hurt the children. He even says it's a road he should never have gone down. It sounds like an epiphany, but only time will tell if it's real. Because, in Sister Wives, we have heard a lot of words. The question is whether actions will ever show up to match.